Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Your Next Business Bestie. My name is Jen Waybor Hart, and I'm your host. If this is your first time tuning in, this podcast is all about connecting you with the business owners that I think you should know. And this week, I'm super excited to welcome my friend Tara Williams to the show. Hi, Tara.
Hey, Jen.
Tara and I met, so it's funny. This is the third episode with a guest, but the first one was someone that actually lives local to me. We had Rosanna, my friend who lives in Texas, and then Elizabeth, who's splitting time between Colorado and Maine right now. But Tara and I met probably about a year ago or so. Um, do you remember when you joined? What was the Success
I
Collective at that
wish I
point?
remembered what month, but it was last spring.
Okay, so we've
So
known each
maybe
other
just
just
over.
over a year. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we were both part of a networking group here in the Tri-Lakes area, that's all focused on women decision makers in businesses. So since then, Tara and I have gotten to know each other pretty well. But Tara, why don't you tell everybody what you do?
I am a personal stylist and image consultant. So nothing to do with hair, not a hairstylist. You really wouldn't want me to touch your hair. But
That's what we have
a
Karina for, right?
That's what we have Karina for. So a wardrobe stylist. So I do all kinds of things, closet edits, personal shopping, event styling, which would include like photo shoot styling, color analysis, body shape analysis, all those kinds of things, and seminars, style seminars, and workshops. So everything to
Cool.
do with wardrobe and helping that to be a place of ease for people and not an area that is stressful.
I think what's so cool is before I met you, the idea of a personal, like of a stylist was like, oh, that's too fancy for me. Like I can't afford to have someone style me. But Tara actually helped me with all of my outfits for my recent branding shoot with Avery Williams, who will be on a guest on the show in a couple weeks. And it was such a fun experience. But the first thing is the color matching, right? Like walk us through first steps when someone's a new client. What
Yeah,
does that look
so
like?
not every stylist has this procedure, this methodology, but I feel really strongly that to be the best help to my clients possible, I need to know what colors are going to look great on you because just color alone makes, from an outside eye looking at someone, it makes a big difference, but it also makes a big difference to the person. Like, when you put a color on that either you look great in, that is a great color for you, it changes your mood. And there is a whole area of psychology around color, but color has an effect on us. So, I to figure out what are going to be your great colors, that's part of it, so that I'm not putting you in an outfit that looks awful and makes you feel awful with the colors. So color is a part of that. Body shape analysis is also a part of that initial consultation I have with my clients, and that's really to figure out what is your body shape. And by the way, body shape doesn't change when you lose or gain weight. Certain body shapes gain weight in certain areas, will lose weight first in other areas. So your body shape generally stays the same. Um, so it's figuring out what that body shape is so that I can help you find clothes that will be most flattering for your body shape. So we do all that. And then there's some about lifestyle and just your personal taste. I feel like I need to know what things you're drawn to so that I can bring out really who each of my clients are,
Yeah.
because everyone so has such different personalities, such different likes and dislikes. And that is actually one of the things I love most about what I do is people are so unique. So I want to
Mhm.
bring out that uniqueness and really get to know what makes that person tick and create an external visual representation of really who they are and their personality. So, my first appointment is to work through all of that, come up with, I do a style board with people. And that's not like visually, we look at some pictures to figure out what the likes and dislikes are, but the style
Mhm.
board are words. They're just words that resonate with that person, the message they want to be sending to the world through, if they're a business person, through their business, through them personally. But also it's just to help think through, okay, how do I want to show up in the world? And what would be a visual representation of that? So it would be words like, um, I want to be approachable, or maybe someone else wants to be the authoritative voice, or someone else wants to be some style words like natural, romantic. Those are style words. So we go over those too, but some of them are just um, how do I want to show up in the world? And we can create a wardrobe, we can create clothes that also match those words. So all
Yeah.
of those pieces I really feel like are important for me to know to help guide some of those decision processes and finding, like for you, finding the right outfits that really matched your branding, which is your branding is you.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to find clothes and outfits for your photo shoot that were really you. So, like, I wouldn't have put you in this froofy, fluffy, florally, that's not you. But I, and I knew you. So it was the
Yeah.
process was truncated, right? Because
Yeah.
had already done your coloring. I had, at some of our retreats and other things together, I knew you. I'd had eyes on you. I knew your personality. I knew you. So it was a lot quicker for us to figure that out together for what would be appropriate and express who you were in your photo shoot. But for someone I'm just meeting, like sometimes I haven't even looked at someone before, right? I
Right.
have a meeting on Zoom with potential clients in part so I can just like I need to see people before that first appointment so I can begin to think through how to help them be a visual representation of the best version of them. For you, little bit more edgy. Color was important. The types of colors were important, not only for your coloring, but certain colors evoke certain emotions too. And I wanted those emotions to match your branding. So there's a lot of pieces that kind of go into figuring out how to create the best visual representation of that person, of the client.
Yeah.
So,
I think one thing that was really big for me, so we went shopping together. We, talked about colors. We talked about the purpose of my photo shoot. I'm very lucky that even with my now crazy red hair, my branding colors do work for me. A
mm,
big thing for me was realizing that black is not as much my color, especially with my red hair now. But when I told you, like, I'm very much a tank top and leggings. Like that's what I live in. I'm a yoga teacher. I work from home. Um, so when we were out shopping, a big thing for me is like constricting shirts or really formed shirts are not my thing. Things that I like layers to create that depth and whatever. And I always felt like you listened so well when I was talking about like because obviously for me with a photo shoot, I needed to feel really good in the clothes that I was in too.
yeah,
Um,
and they need to feel like you. Like,
right.
I want someone to put on an outfit and go, "Oh, this feels so much like me," or
Mm.
like, "You get me." And then through the photos, that comes through for sure.
Yeah,
And your
you
photos are
just
beautiful.
thank
They're
you.
beautiful,
Avery
by the
did
way.
an incredible job. I'll
Mhm.
definitely link some of those photos in the show notes. But you just sparked a weird memory I haven't thought of in a long time. But I think it was in high school. I did glamour shot photos for my high school graduation, and they turned out great. But I was just sitting here thinking, I want to say that we had somebody help with the outfits, and I remember I did not feel like myself at all, which is really
Mm,
funny. I've never thought about that before. But then, of course, with glamour shots, your hair, your makeup, everything, you don't feel like yourself anyway. But
no.
how did you get into this, Tara? Like, I know a little bit about your background, but share some of your story. How did you end up
Uh,
doing what you
yeah,
do?
a very roundabout way. This was not at all on my radar. I've heard, a lot of other stylist stories because I'm in some mastermind groups and you kind of hear people's stories and their viewpoints. And a lot of stylists I hear, I went to, I knew I wanted to be in fashion
Mm.
and
Mhm.
in some way or form they started there and then, you kind of get to where you go. But for me, this was nowhere on my radar. I grew up in a tiny little town in Washington, like tiny. I mean, I think it was maybe 3 or 4 thousand people when I was growing up. So tiny. Um, and I don't think I know I didn't even know this profession existed until my 30s,
Mhm.
like nowhere on the radar. And then I had a friend who, and by the way, all through high school, I wanted to be a TV reporter. Through college, that's what I got my degree in, and that is what I did
Didn't
for the
know
4
that.
years. You didn't? Yeah, I
I
was a
did not
TV
know that.
reporter. So
That's so
that's
cool.
like the first 10 years after I graduated from college, that's what I did. I did the thing I was actually have my degree in. So,
Not a lot
and
of
the
people
last,
do that. Not a lot of people into my degree was in English, and yeah, I never used, well, I use English
well,
every day, but
and I'm not in the thing I have my degree in anymore, obviously,
right.
right? Although the writing, there are a few things that I have found that are good. The training I had as a reporter have helped, like doing reels. It helps to just feel comfortable in front of the camera. It helps to be able to speak, to write. So, I mean, those are skills, gratefully, that I'm still able to use and
Yeah,
were part of my profession. But yeah, the last place that I was a reporter was here in Colorado Springs at Channel 5. So that
that's
was
so
my
cool.
last job as a reporter. And then I had my oldest and then I quit and then we moved to Germany. Or no, we didn't. We moved to North Carolina from there. Husband's in the military. So we just have lived all over the world, which really made staying in the job as a reporter impossible.
Impossible. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that informed a lot of the decisions. But so all that to say that after I had quit my job, I was a stay-at-home mom as the military moved us all over the world because I found, and a lot of other military spouses find, it's difficult to maintain a career when you're moving so frequently and
Absolutely.
outside of the United States even. So we lived in Europe, we lived in Asia, and we've lived all over the United States. So, I was a stay-at-home mom. We homeschooled the kids and I taught. So whatever school the kids were going to, I often was teaching. So I did that for like 20 years, 17 years, 20 years, something. But during that time, and I still had little ones at this time. A friend of mine was getting married and she hired a stylist to kind of do a whole closet edit for her. And she just felt like starting new and wanted to be better informed about what clothes to wear that would be most flattering for her. And so she was telling me about this. I'm like, what? That's a job.
You can do
And
that?
yeah, and I just was like, "Ooh, that sound." I mean, I've always loved clothes. I've always loved to play around with clothes, but never dreamed of having it as a career or fashion. The fashion
Yeah,
industry never crossed my mind. I was always like career, in my 20s when I was still in my career, I was just so focused. And then I was mom and
yeah.
teacher. And it just didn't cross my mind. But when she said that, like the wheels started turning, and I ended up contacting the woman who she had hired and I basically said I had 0 information. And this is, zero information about how this all worked. And I just
Yeah,
said, "Would you consider training me?" She lived in Vancouver, British Columbia. And at the time I was here, actually, I was here. We've been in Colorado Springs 3 times with the military. So this was time number 2 and she was putting together a program to train me and I was going to start my own styling business and then the military moved us to Japan, like
Oh
short
my
orders. Like
goodness.
in 3 months, you guys are going to Japan. And we're like, okay. So, and I found out I was pregnant. So all those
A
things
lot.
happened. A lot happened. And I just kind of put that dream on the shelf. It's like, okay, I guess this is not going to be the time to start a styling business and train to do something I have zero clue about what it is and how to do it. So I just put that on the shelf for years. So that would have been like in 2000, probably 2007 or so. Put it on the shelf. We moved all around. Like those were the years where the military was moving us every year to 2 years maybe. So it was just like
That's
we'd get
crazy.
settled in a place, and as soon as, and maybe not even while we're settled. It was like you get settled, you get unpacked, and then you start prepping for the next move. So it was just this consecutive, and babies and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So we got here. We moved back here in 2000. Um, it would have been 2016. We moved back
Okay.
here. So we've been here for a bit now.
Yeah.
Longest we have ever lived anywhere in our adult lives. Like
That's
we've
crazy.
been married, my husband and I have been married for, it'll be 33 years this summer. In next month, it'll be
Hmm.
33 years we've been married. And in all of those 33 years, he's been in the military.
Yeah.
And we have never lived. So now we've been here almost 8 years. We had the only other place we had been is for like 4 or 5 years. And that was the last time we were here too. So it's been a lot. It's been a lot
Yeah.
of moving. So when we got here for this last time in 2016, um, I was busy still like getting settled, doing the kid thing. We
Hmm.
adopted our little guy right before we got 2 weeks before we moved here. We adopted our son from China. So that was a whole,
Where were you
it
living
took,
at that point when you adopted him?
we were living in DC.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so Northern Virginia, but like 20 minutes outside of the mall of DC. So really
Okay.
close to DC. And we had to complete the adoption in Virginia in order not to redo a whole bunch of stuff. So Scott, my husband's job here, allowed him to get here late so that we could go to China. We had to spend, it was like 3 weeks in China to get him and finish out all the legalities that were
Mm.
there. And then we brought him back to Virginia. We're there for 2 weeks to say, yep, he's a resident in Virginia, complete. And
And then
then,
move.
yeah, done. He's officially ours in the United States now. So then, as 2 weeks after we got him back, we moved here. So it was a couple years of, and kids who are adopted. He was in an orphanage in China, and kids who are adopted often have trauma. And there is
Yeah.
any kid who has been institutionalized, there is a level of trauma that they have experienced just by the nature of how they have to live.
Absolutely.
So we've been in different layers and levels of therapies ever since, but those first couple years they were challenging. Just and they continue to be challenging at times.
Yeah.
But those first couple years were pretty intense to integrate him into the family and figure out what he needed. And he was little. He was 18 months old when we adopted him.
I was gonna say he's
Uh,
9 now. Is that
he's
right?
9 now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's 9. Um, so the first couple years were like just uh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I was in survival mode, getting my feet underneath me in a new, getting resettled here, but then also all of his needs. Um, Even the needs of like our older girls were in high school by then, um, feeling sad about leaving where we had just been because they were
Mm.
really thriving in the DC area, and they were older, so they had their own stuff. So it was just
Right.
like a couple of years of, this is not uncommon for military families
Right.
of
Absolutely.
kids having to deal with the moving, and they were getting used to having a new brother who had some large needs. And so the whole family, it just took some time. When the dust settled, I began to think about the kids went to school. I stopped homeschooling. We just decided, you know what? I'm no longer their best teacher. Just, I am
I
no
mean,
longer their best option.
but that's, that's beautiful in itself. Like for you to be able to recognize that, it sounds like it was perfect, especially when you're moving around like you guys were and so often.
Mm,
But realizing like in this new chapter, there were, I won't say better, but different opportunities for them to learn and grow. I think
we're
that's
better.
incredible, like self insight to see that like it was time to for them to move into a different chapter too.
It was just time, and we started homeschooling because we were moving around so much. I mean, that was a huge part of that
Yeah.
decision is I wanted the kids to have some consistency even though we were moving. Like, I didn't want them to learn 6 months of Rhode Island history, 6 months of Virginia history. You know how every school
Yep.
district has its own requirements. And I just wanted there to be a consistent flow of
Mhm.
what they were learning and have an area that was did not feel so unstable. So that's kind of why we started homeschooling, and then we just kept moving, right? So we just
Yeah.
every year we said we'll reassess, but at every year while we were moving, we just said this is still the best option because some school districts were great, some were not. Some we weren't there for hardly any time. And so anyway, we did.
Yeah.
And then when we got here and things were settled, I just realized, and it was a new chapter, and a new chapter for me. And I could really feel like my heart, and I'm a Christian. So it was all like in prayer and feeling like, okay, God's really moving me on from this chapter. And the kids will be great. The
Yeah.
kids will the ki it's a new season for them too. So, we did that, and I began really dreaming. At this point, I have kids who now I have 2 girls who are grown and out of the house, and I have teenagers and a 9-year-old too in the house still. But, at this point, it was clearly a new chapter, and I began dreaming, like, if I could do anything, if I could be paid to do
Mhm.
anything, where is my heart? What has God equipped me to do? What are my gifts and talents? And how can I serve the community I live in or, the people I'm
Yeah.
able to touch? How would I be of service? So I just, in dreaming of what I would love to do, this styling thing came back. Just like, oh, I was thinking of doing that years ago and I could pick that back up. And I think
So
for
this is
me that
9 years, late 9 years after you had initially started
yes,
considering it.
years.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And I had just forgotten about it, but in, really taking the time to step back and contemplate and just like not putting parameters on my dreaming, but just what would I
Mhm.
love to do? This came up again. So one of the things I think that has been consistent throughout my life has been mentoring. And I really, even when I was a teenager through my 20s, there was always an element of mentoring. And I love mentoring other women and just kind of bringing out whoever they are, just like, how can I help speak life and
Yeah.
encouragement into you so that you become the best version of you and your gifts and talents are fully operational. I mean, that just is so I that just I love that. And styling, I really see didn't expect to make that emotional, but it is
Mhm.
because I feel so passionately about that is just watching women blossom,
Yeah.
grow into who they are meant to be. It is such an amazing experience. And when I am working with a client with styling, I think for us women, especially, like how we look on the outside so profoundly affects how we feel about who we are on the inside.
Yeah.
They're just so affected by each other. So if I can help a woman figure out and feel like the best version of herself on the outside and remove that stressor and allow her then to pursue her dreams and her giftings, her talents, that's such a rewarding process. And it's so amazing to watch someone like it's not superficial. Like it
Yeah.
seems like it's a superficial, and I fought
It's
that, I
yeah.
think, in myself at the beginning of like, it doesn't really, it's just clothes. Well, it's not just clothes. It
Yeah.
is, it is really, it's getting this outside right to then open up for the rest. And I think that is what's rewarding about what I do is having someone step into who they really are. Um, and
Yeah.
you can see it when someone puts on something that is just right for them. Like you see that ease and that confidence. And if someone can feel that, then that fuels them to do the other things that they were created to do. So it's a really rewarding process.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, for me, it just brought a sense of peace too, that I didn't need to worry as much about what I was going to wear for this photo shoot. I hadn't had photos done for my business in a few years. And, I was in a very different chapter in my life at that point. I was in a relationship, but I might as well have been single. I, was just working and working and working. And now this photo shoot was literally at the beginning of this new chapter where I'm married. I have my daughter. Um, and then from appearance wise, I'm a redhead now and I have hair extensions. So I look very different. But these photos were really important to me to represent. I'm all about stories, I'm all about chapters and this brand new chapter in my life and not having to worry so much. Again, I'm a tank tops and leggings girl, so typical photo shoot for me is like, well, let me pick out the three black dresses in my in my closet and I will just wear those. And I remember when we found the leather jacket that I still wear, I wear all the time. That is never something I would have picked out on my own. Again, I wear, most of my closet is still black. But I remember when we spotted that, I think at Macy's, and I probably wouldn't have even tried it on if it wasn't for you. But that's something I wear all the time now. And it's a feeling associated with it too. Well, some or a lot of our audience will not be local, and I happen to know because we are working on redoing your website, which by the time this episode's up,
Thank
your
you.
website should be up. So, um, talk to us about how people can work with you virtually specifically. I know, in-person shopping, obviously, and all of that, but let's explore what you're offering on the virtual side.
Yeah, so I can't remember how long ago it was, but maybe around 6 months, maybe actually longer than that ago, I bought some software from this amazing company that allows me this virtual platform that and they keep adding features there. It's just a beautiful platform. So for instance, if I'm shopping, yes, of course I can shop in person, but even in person, and I did this with you too,
Yeah.
we go shopping in person, but Colorado Springs is not the mecca of shopping. There are some darling boutiques that I love, but inventory can't be huge, right?
Right.
So, like, it's hit or miss anytime you go shopping. So, we went shopping in person, but then I was able to send you online shopping links, and the software that I have allows me to do that. So, it's this beautiful platform of there's just a picture that I send you, and you click on the picture and it takes you to the link. So, it makes it a very streamlined process. So, shopping, we do that way. And then, people are able to upload the clothes that are in their
That was
closet.
the coolest part to me. Like that was so, I mean, I
Yeah.
only uploaded things that we bought together or that I thought I might wear, but I think that it's not limited to just new things. Like you could find
Yes.
based on the skirt in my closet a great top to go with it. Like that's very cool.
Yes. And by the way, you can keep using that. So the
Mm,
beautiful thing about it is that it's not you have access to it for the rest of your life if you if you
cool.
want it. but it's not static. So you can, let's say you get rid of something that you have previously uploaded via photo on your phone. It just lives as an app on your phone. You can get rid of that by hitting the remove button. So if you get rid of
Okay.
something, but if you buy something, you can take a picture of that new thing you buy and add it into your virtual closet. So you can keep using
Yeah.
it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good
So
to
at
know.
some point, like if you said to me, you just keep using it and you said, I have another photo shoot a year from now, whatever, right? If you had those clothes in your closet, your virtual closet, I can go back in and I can say, oh, okay, these are the things you have. This will
Mm,
go with this and this will go with this, but you might want to buy this. And then you go to the other part of the app in there where I've put the link. So
so cool.
it's this platform that allows people to use even beyond the time we're working together, or if I work with someone later on, then it's still, I
Yeah.
can still draw from those pieces that I know are in their closet. So it has that. And then it also has a section that allows me to put outfits together. It's called a lookbook. So either something they've just bought or something that lives in their closet. It's like a Pinterest board. They're boards I
Yeah.
can create. Like you had a photo shoot board with your different outfits. So that is a very easy way to work with people virtually. But then I've done color analysis virtually, and I just, have people sit, we do it via Zoom, have people sit in front of a window so that there's good
Mm,
natural light. And I can do it a couple different ways. We can look at different colors that they own, like, yes, that's a good color on you, not a good color on you. I have sent drapes, fabric. I've sent some fabric, then they in a paid envelope that they send back to me. But I also have these virtual frames with the different color
cool.
palettes. So I take a really good picture, of their face in the natural light, and then I can put these color frames around and go, okay, I can see where your coloring
Mm,
is. So I kind of use all those methods when I do color virtually. And then I've done a closet edit virtually, and it's basically take your laptop into your closet and you're going to be touching the clothes. Normally I would be doing that in person, but it's just yes, no, yes, no. Okay, try that one on for me.
yeah.
It's exactly the same process.
That's so
Um,
cool.
so yeah,
I need to do the closet part with you. I'm Megs is coming to help me. We have a mutual friend, Megs. She's going to be on the podcast too, but she's a professional organizer, so she is coming soon to help me. And then I think the next step is to have Tara come help me build out,
yeah,
some actual closet pieces that aren't tank tops and
I would love
leggings.
that. Yes. Well, Megs and I had last winter, she and I did
Yeah,
like a package together. So I
yeah,
helped with the yes, no. Let's try that on. Let's create a few outfits. She did the organizing of the closets, and she does a beautiful job. She just has this gift of organization. So
yeah.
it's
Absolutely. I'm
beautiful.
so
You'll
excited.
love
She's
it.
We're starting with my kitchen. You would both faint if you saw my husband in my closet right now. But she is stellar. Another piece I want to make sure we talk about is seminars and workshops, because I know that's a big
Mm,
part of what you've been doing. And I was lucky enough at our retreat for the networking group in January that you did like a mini workshop for us, which was so fun. The photos of that experience were so funny. Everybody was trying to guess each other's colors, and like,
yeah.
and then those of us who I think Jessa was the one who said to me, Jen, you can't wear black anymore. And it's funny because I bought brown eyeliner after that, and I've been wearing black eyeliner since middle school probably.
Yeah.
So 25 years. I still like I'm wearing black eyeliner today, but I do own brown eyeliner now, which was a big step.
I love
But
it.
talk to us about the seminars and workshops that you're offering.
Yeah, so I've done groups like our group, we did style. So they're kind of, instead of my law, usually if I have a client in my office, we do like I said, the body shape, the color, and some other stuff. It's like an hour and a half to 2 hour long appointment. These are quick, like mini, like 15 minutes I spend with each person, draping you, figuring out what colors, giving you like your five power colors, and then your neutrals. So that can be a pretty quick process. And everybody, all the other women are sitting around watching, and it just ends up to be a really fun experience because women just have opinions and everyone is talking and like,
Yeah.
I think she's going to be this and shouldn't she do that? And I had a group for Galentine's Day. They had a Galentine's party. So I went and did color for them. And it was just everyone sitting around making comments. And it's really
That's so
fun.
cool. That's
Yeah,
so
but I also do like style seminars. Like I've done one for the transition assistance program of the Air Force Academy. And those are people who are moving from wearing uniforms every day to civilian life. So I've done seminars. Actually, I did one seminar. I'm about to do another in September for them of groups that just need some education around what are the ins and outs of business wear
cool.
and just educating because they've never had to think about that, right? If you wear a uniform every
Oh,
day for years, you just don't think about that. So, seminars for them. So, the varying, like some groups of women tend to like color analysis,
yeah.
but I've done other groups where it's more of a education on style and how to up level themselves as individuals as they go into the work field. Maybe I did some stuff on interviews, like what do you need to know about dressing for an interview? And what do you need to know about dressing for your work life then? So stuff like that too. But I've also done businesses, like there was another business in town that I did color for, and it was a gift from the owner to her employees. So that
That's
was a really
special.
fun thing to do too. Yeah.
My
So stuff
brain,
like
my strategy brain is going, and I'm thinking, like I was in a sorority in college, so that would have been such a cool opportunity to have you come in to talk to the seniors in college as they're getting ready to enter the workforce. Or, I mean, I'm part of the generation that it was like you go to college, that's what you do, but that's not as much the case because people are learning that there's not just one road. But even high schools, did you ever go into the high school locally and talk to them? Because that would be really
I
cool.
did, but that was
Yeah.
more, yes, I did. I went into the local high school and they have a lunchtime speaker and people
Yeah.
from different fields. They just have come and talk to the students. So it's whoever shows up and whatever questions they have. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and they had varying degrees of questions and interests. So it was more like a
Absolutely.
conversation rather than a seminar, but it was a
Yeah.
lot of fun to talk with them.
It'd be cool to find some like professional groups. Even like, I was thinking Kelly's daughters in student council, like those kinds of groups that you could go in
Mhm.
and speak to the seniors for sure. Well, our time has gone by very quickly as expected. Is there anything else you want people to know, along with where they can go check out what you do, what you offer?
Yeah, my website, which you have to go check out soon because Jen is redoing my website. So I started with this starter website, right? And it was fine for the first year or so of my business, but I really felt like, okay, now my business is at a point where I want to present myself in the best light possible and professionally. So it was time to upgrade the website. And so Jen did the website and I got a sneak peek of it this week and it is gorgeous. And it is exactly like the professional. I feel like it was just, thank you. You made me look even better than I am. So it's
I
just
it's
a
it's an honor.
beautiful,
It's an honor.
it's just a beautiful website. It just has the vibe that I was hoping that it would
Awesome.
have. So you have to go check out my website. And it is style elevation with Tara.com. No spaces, just all one big word, style elevation with Tara.com. So you can see if you go now, you can see the old one. And then a couple weeks from now, maybe go again and check out the one Jen did because you'll see the difference and it's quite
Probably by the
remarkable.
time this episode is out, the new one will be out. But I will probably have done a reel of a before and after. And speaking of reels, people need to follow you on Instagram. So what's your Instagram
Yes.
handle?
So this is style underscore elevation underscore with underscore Tara. So it's Style Elevation, just the underscore in between, Style Elevation with Tara, underscore in between the words. And I would love for people to follow me. I try to do almost daily, like 5 or 6 times a week at least, style tips and just stuff. If I have a product I have absolutely loved, I try to share that. I don't get paid for any of that, but I just like to share things that I are really working for me and shortcuts and little style tips and tricks. So yeah, style me there for all the free info or go to eventually, right, with the new website, I'll have the contact me and I'll have some freebies on my website as well. So free tips and tricks
Cool.
all over.
Awesome. Yeah, you are a wealth of information, and I'm always so impressed. I do social media for a living, but I am terrible at doing my own reels. I'll get there eventually. Well, I want to thank you so much, Tara, for taking the time to be on the show today. For those of you listening, my name is Jen Waybor Hart. I am a creative strategist and business building partner, but my passion is helping people tell their stories. And I think that's why your website has been such a pleasure, is I feel like I know you so well. So it was like, no, like this is Tara. And it's been beautiful to create this digital representation of you. But if anybody listening is interested in creative strategy, being a guest on this podcast, or just finding out more about what I do, you can head over to Instagram, and my Instagram is Life Jen's Way, or you can email me at jen@jensway.com. But thank you so, so much, Tara. I appreciate you. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Have a wonderful day.